The greatest battles are not fought with swords or guns. They are fought within the mind. Some people wake up every day at war with themselves, crippled by fear, doubt, and hesitation. Others move through life like warriors, with unwavering confidence, discipline, and purpose. Why do some people break while others rise? The difference lies in the mind of a warrior monk, a mindset that turns pain into power, fear into fearlessness, and struggle into mastery. This is not a book of theory. This is a manual for mental warfare, a guide to breaking free from your limitations. By the end of this journey, you will no longer live as a prisoner of your emotions. You will become the master of your mind. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Day I Killed Myself. The Death of the Weak Version of You. Every warrior monk is born twice, once by blood and once by fire. There comes a time in life when you look in the mirror and feel an unsettling truth deep in your bones. The person staring back at you is not who you were meant to be. Maybe you've felt it before, that frustration of waking up the same, repeating the same mistakes, feeling trapped in patterns that never seem to break. You set goals but never follow through. You dream of change but keep slipping back into old habits. It feels like being stuck in a body that isn't yours, living a life that doesn't belong to you. This chapter is not about death in the physical sense. It's about something far more important, the death of the weaker version of yourself, the version of you that is ruled by fear, doubt, laziness, and hesitation. The version that makes excuses, avoids discomfort, and chooses the easy way out every time. The version that wakes up tired, scrolls through distractions, and watches life slip away without ever grabbing it by the throat. Right now, you have a choice to make. You can keep dragging the weight of your past self through life, carrying every bad habit, every missed opportunity, every regret. Or you can decide, right now, to bury that version of yourself forever. This isn't something you do tomorrow, or next week, or when you feel ready. That moment never comes. A warrior monk does not wait for motivation. He does not negotiate with weakness. He burns it to the ground and rises from the ashes. This is your moment. The fire is right in front of you. Will you walk through it, or will you turn away and stay the same? The choice is yours. Chapter 2. The Monk Who Watched His Family Die. How to Handle Emotional Pain. Pain is an unavoidable part of life. No matter how strong you are, no matter how disciplined you become, pain will find you. It comes in different forms: loss, betrayal, disappointment, failure. It doesn't knock. It doesn't ask for permission. It enters your life like an unstoppable force, and when it does, most people crumble. They drown in their emotions, become bitter, or allow pain to define them. But a warrior monk understands that pain is not the enemy. It is the fire that forges strength, if you know how to handle it. There is a story about a Zen monk whose entire family was killed by raiders. His village was burned to the ground. He was left with nothing. His students expected him to react with rage or sorrow, to seek revenge or fall into despair. But instead, he sat in silence for 7 days. When asked why he did not cry or fight back, he simply said, "Pain is like fire. If you hold on to it, it burns you. If you understand it, it forges you." The world will test you. It will take things from you that you never expected to lose. It will shake your foundations, push you to the edge, and demand to know what you're made of. And in those moments, you have two choices: let pain break you, or let it build you. Most people react to pain like a drowning man reacts to deep water. They panic, they thrash, they resist, and in doing so, they sink. But a warrior monk knows that the only way to survive deep water is to stop fighting it, to relax, to float, to trust that he will rise to the surface. Pain is not meant to be suppressed or ignored. If you push it down, it will control you from the shadows. If you run from it, it will chase you. The only way to master pain is to face it directly, to allow yourself to feel it fully without letting it consume you. This is what separates the strong from the weak. The weak let pain turn them into victims. The strong use pain as fuel. The loss of a loved one, the betrayal of a friend, the failure of a dream, these are the fires that test what you are made of. They will either burn you to ashes or forge you into something indestructible, and that choice is yours alone. So when life hits you with its hardest blows, when everything seems unfair and cruel, ask yourself, will I let this destroy me, or will I let this shape me into the strongest version of myself? A warrior monk does not beg for an easier path. He learns to walk through fire without flinching. Chapter 3. The Secret Power of Being Alone. Why Loneliness is Your Greatest Ally. Most people fear being alone. They seek constant noise, distractions, and validation from others because silence makes them uncomfortable. They fill every quiet moment with music, social media, or mindless entertainment. Being alone feels like an enemy, something to avoid at all costs. But in reality, loneliness is not your enemy. It is your greatest ally. A warrior monk does not fear solitude. He embraces it. He understands that true power is built in isolation, not in the crowd. Throughout history, the strongest minds, warriors, monks, philosophers, have sought solitude to master themselves. Buddha meditated under the Bodhi tree alone. Samurai warriors trained in the mountains alone. Great leaders and thinkers have always retreated into solitude to gain clarity and strength. The modern world, however, teaches the opposite. It convinces you that you must always be connected, busy, and entertained. It makes you believe that being alone means being weak, unloved, or unsuccessful. But this is a lie. There is a difference between being lonely and being alone. Loneliness is suffering, a feeling of emptiness, a craving for someone or something to fill a void. Being alone is power, the ability to stand on your own, content with yourself, needing nothing from anyone. Most people never reach this level of strength because they are afraid to be alone with their own thoughts. They fear what they might hear in the silence. They fear confronting their own weaknesses, regrets, and insecurities. They seek distractions so they never have to face themselves. But a warrior monk understands that the only way to truly know yourself, to master your mind and emotions, is to spend time in solitude. When you are alone, you are forced to face the truth about yourself. You can no longer hide behind the noise of others. You begin to hear the thoughts you have been avoiding, the emotions you have buried, the dreams you have neglected. And in that space, you are given a choice: run from yourself or rebuild yourself. This is why monks retreat to mountains and warriors train in seclusion. Because in solitude, there is no one to lie to, no one to impress, no one to blame. It is just you and your mind. And when you master your mind, you master your life. Most people are addicted to external validation. They need likes, comments, approval, and attention to feel worthy. But true confidence comes when you no longer need anyone to validate your existence. You do not need applause. You do not need approval. You do not need the world to recognize you, because you have already recognized your own power. This is the secret of solitude. Being alone does not make you weak. It makes you dangerous. When you can sit in silence without feeling empty, when you can be completely alone without feeling lost, you have reached a level of strength that few ever achieve. You become unshakable, untouchable, and truly free. So, do not run from loneliness. Walk into it, sit with it, embrace it, and in that space, discover who you truly are. Chapter 4. The One Who Stares Death in the Eye, Overcoming Fear Permanently. Fear is the most powerful prison. It controls people without them even realizing it. It makes them hesitate when they should act. It keeps them trapped in jobs they hate, relationships that drain them, and lives that feel empty. Fear whispers in the back of the mind, convincing them that they are not strong enough, not ready, not capable. Most people live their entire lives as slaves to fear. But a warrior monk is different. He does not run from fear. He does not pretend it isn't there. He stares it directly in the eye, and in doing so, he breaks its hold over him forever. There is an ancient warrior saying, "The one who has already accepted death cannot be killed." This does not mean seeking death. It means coming to peace with the worst-case scenario so that fear no longer has control over you. Imagine a samurai stepping onto the battlefield. He knows he might die. He does not ignore this reality or try to escape it. Instead, he embraces it fully. He meditates on death before the battle even begins. He walks onto the battlefield as a man who has already died, and because of that, he fights with no hesitation, no doubt, no fear. Now compare this to the modern world. People fear rejection, failure, criticism, embarrassment. They hesitate before speaking their truth. They shrink back from opportunities. They stay inside their comfort zones, trapped by the idea of what might go wrong. But the irony is that by avoiding fear, they never truly live. There is no way to completely erase fear from your mind. That is not the goal. The goal is to change your relationship with fear. Most people see fear as a stop sign. A warrior monk sees it as a guide. Fear of failure means you are about to grow. Fear of rejection means you are about to step into your truth. Fear of the unknown means you are leaving your comfort zone. Fear is a signal that you are facing something important, and the only way to remove its power is to walk directly into it. Imagine a wild animal standing in your path. If you run, it will chase you. If you hesitate, it will attack. But if you stand your ground, if you refuse to flinch, that animal will sense your strength. Fear works the same way. The moment you stop reacting to it, it loses its control over you. A warrior monk does not let fear dictate his life. He knows that fear is nothing more than a shadow, something that looks big and terrifying, but disappears when you step through it. Right now, there is something in your life that fear is keeping you from doing. Maybe it's leaving a toxic situation. Maybe it's starting something new. Maybe it's speaking up when your voice shakes. Whatever it is, the only way to break fear's hold is to do the thing you are afraid of. Because once you face it, you realize something incredible. Fear was never real to begin with. It was only the mind's way of keeping you small. A warrior monk understands that every day he walks toward fear is another day he becomes stronger. So ask yourself this: will you continue to let fear be your master? Or will you stare it in the eye and take your power back? Because once you do that, you will never be the same again. Chapter 5. When you feel like giving up, the 1% rule of mastery. There will be days when you feel like giving up. Days when the weight of life feels too heavy, when the effort seems pointless, when the goal feels too far away. Maybe you've felt this before, staring at the mountain ahead, wondering if the climb is even worth it. This is the moment where most people quit. They stop pushing when it gets too hard. They convince themselves that success, discipline, and mastery are for other people, not for them. They tell themselves they'll try again later, but later never comes. A warrior monk, however, understands something that most people don't. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to win every battle. You just need to keep moving, 1% at a time. Imagine a sculptor working on a massive block of stone. He doesn't expect to create a masterpiece in one strike. He doesn't smash at it wildly, hoping it will turn into something beautiful overnight. Instead, he chips away at it, little by little, with patience and precision. And over time, the shape emerges. Mastery works the same way. The mistake most people make is believing that change has to be huge. They think they need to transform overnight, to make drastic changes in an instant, and when they don't see immediate results, they quit. But a warrior monk knows that greatness is built through tiny, consistent improvements. If you push yourself 1% harder each day, over time, you become unstoppable. If you grow 1% stronger, soon you will be unbreakable. If you improve by just 1%, that small effort compounds into mastery. This is how legends are made, not through sudden transformations, but through small victories repeated daily. Think about it. If you get 1% better each day for a year, you will be 37 times stronger than you are right now. But the reverse is also true. If you allow yourself to slip just 1% each day, you will slowly become weaker, more tired, more undisciplined, and before you know it, you've become a person you no longer recognize. This is why a warrior monk does not focus on the entire battle, only the next step. If you are struggling, if you feel like quitting, do not focus on the entire journey ahead. Just focus on what you can do today. If you can't do the full workout, do 5 push-ups. If you can't read a full book, read 1 page. If you can't meditate for an hour, breathe deeply for 1 minute. What matters is that you do something, because small efforts add up. A single drop of water is nothing, but over time, it carves through stone. A warrior monk understands that the days when you feel like quitting are the most important days to keep going. These are the moments where true strength is built. The weak listen to their excuses. The strong take action, even when they don't feel like it. If you quit now, you will be back in the same place later, wishing you had stayed strong. But if you push forward, even just 1% today, you will wake up one day and realize you have become the master of your own destiny. The choice is always yours. Keep going or go back. What will you choose? Chapter 6. How to control your emotions like a master warrior. A warrior is not the one who never feels emotions. He is the one who controls them. Most people are ruled by their emotions. They react instead of responding. They lash out in anger, break down in fear, or become paralyzed by sadness. Their emotions control their actions, and because of this, they remain weak. But a warrior monk is different. He understands that emotions are not enemies, they are tools. And like any tool, they must be used wisely, or they will cause destruction. The illusion of emotional control. Most people believe that controlling emotions means suppressing them, pretending they don't exist. They try to bottle up anger, ignore pain, or force themselves to be happy when they are not. But emotions do not disappear just because you ignore them. They grow in the shadows, waiting for the moment to explode. Have you ever seen someone who seemed calm, but then suddenly snapped? That is the result of suppressing emotions instead of controlling them. A master warrior does not suppress his emotions. He understands them, observes them, and then chooses his response. This is the difference between a man who reacts and a man who responds. The one who reacts lets his emotions control him. The one who responds controls his emotions. Imagine standing in the middle of a battlefield. An enemy provokes you, calling you names, trying to make you act out of anger. A weak man would lose control, attacking without thinking, falling into the enemy's trap. But a warrior monk remains calm, unshaken, calculating his next move. Because losing control is losing power. How weak emotions destroy strength. There are 3 emotions that make a person weak when left unchecked. Anger. It clouds judgment. It makes people act foolishly, say things they regret, and destroy relationships. A warrior monk does not let anger own him. Instead, he channels it into focused energy. Fear. It keeps people small, stopping them from taking action. Fear is the greatest illusion, and a warrior monk walks straight through it. Sadness. It drains energy, making people lose motivation. A warrior monk allows himself to feel sadness, but does not let it paralyze him. Each of these emotions is a test. Either you control them, or they control you. The power of emotional control. A warrior monk does not let any emotion take away his power. He chooses how to respond in every situation. When he feels anger, he breathes deeply, controls his heartbeat, and channels that energy into something useful. When he feels fear, he leans into it, understanding that fear only has power if you run from it. When he feels sadness, he allows himself to feel, but never lets it turn into weakness. This is true mastery, the ability to experience emotions without being controlled by them. The mind of a master warrior. Think about the most powerful warriors in history. The samurai, the monks, the great leaders. Did they scream in rage when things didn't go their way? Did they fall to their knees, paralyzed by fear? Number. They remained composed, focused, unshaken, because they understood the ultimate truth. Your emotions do not control you unless you allow them to. A warrior monk trains his mind just as much as his body. He practices stillness, self-awareness, and patience. He understands that strength is not in reacting, it is in choosing the right response. Most people live their lives as slaves to emotion. They are controlled by impulses, triggered by every small event, ruled by feelings instead of discipline. But a warrior monk walks a different path. He is in control of himself at all times, and that control makes him unstoppable. The path to mastery. The question is not if you will feel emotions. You are human. You will feel anger, sadness, fear, frustration. The real question is, what will you do when these emotions arise? Will you let them break you, or will you master them? Because once you learn to control your emotions, nothing can shake you again. And when nothing can shake you, you become truly powerful. Chapter 7. The Unshakable Mind. How to become mentally indestructible. A man's greatest weapon is not his body, not his strength, not even his intelligence. It is his mind. Most people believe that mental strength is something you are either born with or without. They think some people are just naturally tougher, more disciplined, more resilient. But this is a lie. The mind is a muscle. It can be trained, sharpened, and strengthened, just like the body. A weak mind crumbles under pressure. A strong mind thrives in it. And an unshakable mind. It becomes indestructible no matter what life throws at it. Why most people break under pressure? The reason most people crack under stress is simple. They have never trained their minds to handle difficulty. When things go wrong, they panic. When challenges come, they complain. When pain arrives, they break. They never built mental resilience, so when the storm comes, they get torn apart. They look at problems as curses instead of tests. They want life to be easy, and when it isn't, they crumble. But a warrior monk expects hardship. He welcomes it, because he knows that difficulty is what builds him. If you avoid struggle, you remain fragile. But if you face struggle head-on, you become unshakable. How the unshakable mind is built. Mental toughness is not something you find. It is something you forge through fire. Think about a blade. Before a sword becomes sharp and strong, it is nothing more than raw metal. To make it powerful, it must be beaten, shaped, and tested in extreme heat. The mind works the same way. Every challenge, every hardship, every failure is the fire that strengthens you. The weak run from the fire. The warrior monk steps into it and lets it shape him. Pain is a test. Will you let it break you, or will you let it make you stronger? Failure is a test. Will you quit, or will you get back up? Hardship is a test. Will you complain, or will you find a way through? Every day life is testing you, and every day you are given a choice to become weaker or to become stronger. The enemy of mental strength, comfort. Most people are mentally weak because they have been softened by comfort. They live in climate-controlled rooms, so they never train their bodies to endure the cold or the heat. They avoid hard conversations, so they never train themselves to face conflict with strength. They quit at the first sign of difficulty, so they never build true resilience. A warrior monk does not seek comfort. He seeks growth, and growth only happens in discomfort. This is why monks meditate for hours in the freezing cold. This is why warriors train in the harshest conditions. They are not punishing themselves. They are preparing themselves. Because the truth is, life will not always be comfortable. If you are used to comfort, then the moment things get hard, you will fall apart. But if you train your mind in discomfort, if you willingly step into challenges, hardships, and resistance, then when the real storms of life come, you will stand tall while others fall. The power of absolute control. A weak mind reacts emotionally. It panics, it doubts, it hesitates. An unshakable mind is calm, focused, and in control. Imagine two men in battle. The first is emotional. He lets fear control him, lets anger blind him. His sword swings wildly. His breathing is erratic. He wastes his energy and makes mistakes. He dies first. The second warrior is calm, collected, unshaken. His heart beats slowly. His mind is clear. He makes every move with precision. He is in complete control of himself. And because of that, he wins. The same applies to life. If you can master your own mind, you can master any situation. When stress comes, you remain calm. When chaos surrounds you, you remain focused. When life pushes you down, you stand back up, stronger. No one can break you unless you let them. The final secret to an unshakable mind is this: no one can control you unless you give them power. No one can make you angry unless you allow them to. No one can make you afraid unless you believe their words. No one can make you feel weak unless you choose to accept weakness. A warrior monk does not give his power away. He chooses his thoughts, his reactions, his mindset. Most people are puppets, controlled by emotions, by society, by other people's opinions. But a warrior monk, he is untouchable. He is mentally indestructible. The path to an unshakable mind. Building an unshakable mind is not about being tough on the outside. It is about becoming untouchable from the inside. You will face struggle. Expect it. Use it. You will feel fear. Do not let it stop you. Move forward anyway. You will be tested. Do not break. Rise every time. This is how mental strength is built, not in moments of ease, but in moments of battle. And once you have mastered this, once you have built a mind that cannot be shaken, then you will understand a truth that only the strongest ever realize. Nothing can break you, because you have already built yourself into something unbreakable. Chapter 8. Training in the dark. How to prepare for anything. The battle is won before it begins. Most people prepare only when the challenge is right in front of them. They wait until the moment of crisis before they start training their mind and body. They only think about self-discipline when they're already weak. They only start learning how to control fear when it's already consuming them. They only look for strength when life has already knocked them down. But by then, it's too late. A warrior monk does not prepare in the moment. He prepares before the moment comes. He trains in the dark, long before the battle ever arrives, so that when it does, he is already ready. Why the world is full of the unprepared. Most people live reactively. They go through life hoping things will be easy. They hope they will never face hardship, never experience pain, never be put in a situation where they are tested. And because of this, they are caught off guard when life inevitably becomes difficult. They never train their body, so when they need strength, they don't have it. They never train their mind, so when adversity strikes, they crumble. They never prepare for failure, so when it happens, they fall apart. Weak people live in illusion. They believe they can simply figure things out when the time comes. But the truth is this: if you have not prepared, you will break. A warrior monk knows that life will test him, whether he is ready or not. He does not wait for hardship to come before he starts preparing. He trains in the dark, so that when the light shines, he is already battle-hardened. Training when no one is watching. The greatest warriors, the most disciplined monks, the most powerful minds in history, all understood one thing. The real training happens when no one is watching. A fighter does not train when the crowd is cheering. He trains alone, in the silence of the gym, pushing his limits when no one is there to see it. A monk does not wait until the moment of anger to learn control. He meditates daily, strengthening his mind long before he needs to use it. A leader does not prepare when the crisis is already upon him. He has already built himself into someone who can handle anything. This is why most people fail, because they only train when they are forced to. They do not prepare in the silence. They only act when the storm has already arrived. But by then, it's too late. The unseen battles that make you stronger. A warrior monk understands that the real battle happens long before the enemy appears. The battle against weakness happens in the early hours of the morning when you choose discipline over comfort. The battle against fear happens when you willingly put yourself in uncomfortable situations instead of avoiding them. The battle against failure happens when you train relentlessly, pushing yourself beyond what you think you can handle. Every day, you are either preparing for the war ahead or you are making yourself weaker. The greatest fighters in history won their battles before they even stepped into the arena. They trained relentlessly. They prepared for every possible scenario. They made sure that by the time the fight began, their victory was already decided. This is the mindset of a warrior monk. Your enemy is already training. Are you? There is a famous quote: "Somewhere, a man is preparing for the moment you are not ready for. While you are sleeping in, someone else is training. While you are making excuses, someone else is sharpening their mind. While you are waiting for motivation, someone else is already building their strength." The world does not wait for you to be ready. It moves forward, with or without you. If you do not train in the dark, you will be exposed in the light. The power of hidden discipline. A warrior monk does not need validation for his preparation. He does not seek approval or applause. He does not wait to be recognized before he puts in the work. He trains in silence. He sharpens himself in the darkness. He prepares for everything, even the battles he may never have to fight. And when the moment of challenge finally arrives, he does not panic, because he has already been there in his mind 1,000 times before. This is the difference between the strong and the weak. The weak wait for the battle to begin before they start preparing. The strong have already won in the shadows. Prepare now or be destroyed later. Right now, you have two choices. You can continue living like most people, reacting to problems as they come, never truly prepared, hoping that things will just work out. Or you can start training now, sharpening your mind and body in the silence, building yourself into someone who is ready for anything. The warrior monk does not live in hope. He lives in readiness. Because when the moment of truth arrives, there will be no time to prepare. You will either already be ready or you will fail. And when that moment comes, the only question that will matter is this: did you train in the dark? Chapter 9. The Art of Ruthless Focus, Destroying Distractions. Focus is power. In a world where everyone is constantly distracted, the ability to focus has become a superpower. Most people struggle to get anything meaningful done because they are enslaved by distractions. They wake up and immediately check their phones. Their minds jump from one thing to another, never staying on one task long enough to master it. They scroll endlessly, consuming useless information, chasing temporary dopamine hits instead of real progress. And then they wonder why they feel stuck, why they feel lost, why they never achieve their goals. But a warrior monk is different. He understands that focus is not just important, it is everything. He knows that without focus, strength is useless, intelligence is wasted, and potential is never realized. Why most people can't focus. The modern world is designed to steal your attention. Every app, every social media platform, every notification is engineered to distract you. Companies spend billions studying human psychology to make sure you stay addicted to their products. They don't want you to be focused. They don't want you to build discipline. They want you to be a slave to distraction, and most people have fallen into this trap. They can't sit in silence for 5 minutes without reaching for their phones. They can't focus on one task for an hour without checking messages. They can't spend time alone with their thoughts without feeling restless. They have trained their brains to be scattered, weak, and unfocused. And as a result, they live their lives half present, half aware, half alive. A warrior monk, however, is ruthless about his focus. He does not allow distractions to control him. He does not let his mind be hijacked by useless noise. He understands that his attention is his most valuable weapon, and he guards it fiercely. The power of single-minded focus. A warrior does not swing his sword wildly in every direction. He strikes with precision. The same principle applies to life. If you spread your focus too thin, chasing too many things at once, constantly shifting from one task to another, you will achieve nothing. But if you focus all your energy on one target, you become unstoppable. This is why the most powerful people in history were obsessed with their craft. Bruce Lee trained relentlessly, perfecting each movement thousands of times. Miyamoto Musashi, the undefeated samurai, spent years alone sharpening his sword skills. Monks in the mountains meditate for hours, eliminating all distractions from their minds. They achieved greatness not because they were special, but because they mastered focus. How distractions weaken you. Every time you allow yourself to be distracted, you are weakening your mind. Every time you check your phone out of boredom, you are training your brain to be weak. Every time you switch between tasks, you are making yourself less efficient. Every time you let a small distraction pull you away, you are reinforcing the habit of losing focus. Most people think distractions are harmless, but they are not. They are the enemy of mastery. A warrior monk does not allow his mind to be controlled by outside forces. He decides where his attention goes, what he focuses on, and what he ignores. Because focus is the difference between success and failure, between strength and weakness, between a life of purpose and a life of regret. Becoming ruthless with your focus. A warrior monk does not just try to focus. He protects his focus with everything he has. He removes distractions from his environment. He sets clear priorities and refuses to waste time on meaningless things. He trains his mind daily to stay present, sharp, and locked in. This is not something that happens by accident. It requires discipline. If your phone is distracting you, turn it off. If social media is stealing your attention, delete the apps. If people around you are constantly pulling you away from your goals, limit your time with them. Weak people hope for focus. Strong people eliminate everything that weakens it. The mind as a laser, not a flashlight. Most people's minds are like a flashlight, scattered, unfocused, shining light in all directions, but never piercing through the darkness. A warrior monk's mind is like a laser, narrow, powerful, cutting through distractions with unshakable clarity. He does not try to do everything. He focuses on one thing at a time, and he does it with complete intensity. If you train yourself to focus like this, you will achieve in months what others take years to accomplish. Do you control your mind, or does your mind control you? Right now, ask yourself, who is in control of your attention? Do you decide where your mind goes, or do notifications, entertainment, and other people decide for you? Do you have the power to sit in silence, to focus deeply, to train your mind to be razor sharp? Or do you constantly seek distractions? If you cannot control your focus, you cannot control your life. A warrior monk understands that his greatest battle is not against the world, but against his own mind. And once you learn to master your focus, once you learn to destroy distractions, once you learn to channel your mind like a weapon, there is nothing in this world that can stop you. Chapter 10. The Warrior's Morning Ritual: How to Start the Day with Power. The way you start your morning determines the course of your entire day. Most people wake up reactive, hitting snooze, checking their phones, rushing to get ready, moving through the morning in a fog of stress and urgency. From the moment they open their eyes, they are already losing the battle of the day. But a warrior monk is different. He does not wake up as a slave to distractions, emotions, or external demands. He wakes up with purpose, with control, and with absolute clarity. He understands that the morning is sacred. It is a time to sharpen the mind, strengthen the body, and set the tone for the battles ahead. If you win the morning, you win the day. Why most people lose the morning battle. The average person's morning is chaos. They wake up late, scrambling to get out of bed. They immediately check their phone, filling their mind with distractions before they've even taken their first deep breath. They eat unhealthy food or skip breakfast, giving their body no fuel for the day. They rush through their morning, stressed, anxious, and unprepared. By the time they start their day, they are already behind, already weak, already vulnerable to distractions, emotions, and external pressures. And then they wonder why their days feel out of control. A warrior monk does not allow this. He treats the morning as his foundation, knowing that the first hour of the day shapes everything that follows. The power of a warrior's morning ritual. A warrior does not enter battle unprepared. He sharpens his sword, strengthens his mind, and centers his spirit before he steps onto the battlefield. This is why the first hour of the day is so important. It is the time to train, focus, and align yourself with your purpose. A warrior monk does not wake up reacting to the world. He creates his world by setting the right tone from the very first moment. The elements of a powerful morning ritual. A true warrior's morning is intentional, structured, and disciplined. It is designed to cultivate strength, focus, and resilience. Every great warrior, thinker, and leader throughout history had a structured morning, because they understood that control in the morning leads to control in life. The way you wake up matters. A warrior monk does not wake up slowly, lazily, or reluctantly. He wakes up with intention. He does not hit snooze. He rises immediately, because he understands that hesitation in the morning creates hesitation in life. He does not reach for his phone. His first thoughts of the day belong to himself, not to distractions or the outside world. He sits in stillness for a moment, breathing deeply, setting his mind into a state of clarity. A warrior knows that discipline begins with the first action of the day, and that action must be one of control. A warrior does not wait for motivation to move his body. He understands that training is not optional, it is essential. Whether through stretching, martial arts, running, or strength training, a warrior monk challenges his body first thing in the morning. He does not seek comfort, he seeks strength. He understands that movement wakes up the mind, sharpens the senses, and builds resilience. A weak morning makes a weak body. A strong morning builds a body that is ready for battle. Most people let their mornings be filled with distractions and noise. A warrior monk eliminates this weakness by training his mind in the silence. He begins with meditation, deep breathing, or mindfulness, bringing full awareness to the present moment. He visualizes his goals, seeing himself moving through the day with strength and clarity. He reads something meaningful and powerful, feeding his mind with wisdom instead of empty entertainment. The mind, like a sword, must be sharpened daily, and the first thing you consume in the morning shapes the rest of your thoughts for the day. A warrior monk does not move through the day aimlessly. He does not waste time wondering what to do next. He already knows. Before he starts the day, he sets clear intentions: what must be accomplished, what battles must be fought, what steps must be taken toward mastery. He does not let distractions dictate his schedule, he dictates the schedule. He moves with purpose, knowing exactly where his focus should be at all times. A day without purpose is a day wasted, and a warrior monk does not waste a single day. The discipline of the first hour. Most people say they don't have time for a morning ritual, but the truth is, they have time for distractions. They have time to scroll mindlessly, snooze alarms, and rush through life unprepared. A warrior monk makes time for what matters. He does not allow weakness to set the tone for his day. He chooses to wake up strong. He chooses to move his body, train his mind, and set his focus. He chooses to start the day with clarity instead of chaos. The morning determines the battle. If you win the first hour of the day, you have already won the battle before it begins. But if you lose the morning, if you start your day with weakness, distraction, and disorder, then you have already lost. The rest of the day will be filled with reaction instead of control, hesitation instead of confidence, distractions instead of purpose. A warrior monk does not wait for discipline to appear. He does not wait for the right mood or the perfect moment. He creates it every single morning. The ultimate question: how will you start your next battle? Tomorrow morning, when you wake up, you will be faced with a choice. Will you rise with purpose, or will you hit snooze and delay your life? Will you train your body and mind, or will you let another day slip by in weakness? Will you take control of the morning, or will you let distractions dictate your life? A warrior monk knows that the first hour of the day is sacred. It is where he sets his mind, his energy, and his purpose. And once that first hour is mastered, the rest of the day follows. Because a warrior monk does not hope for a strong day. He builds it. Chapter 11. No excuses: how to stop lying to yourself. Excuses are the language of the weak. Every time you say, "I don't have time," what you really mean is, "I don't want it bad enough." Every time you say, "I'll start tomorrow," what you really mean is, "I'm afraid to start today." Every time you say, "It's too hard," what you really mean is, "I'd rather stay comfortable than grow stronger." A warrior monk does not make excuses. He looks at reality with absolute honesty. He knows that every excuse is a lie designed to keep him weak, and he refuses to be weak. The truth about excuses. Excuses feel comforting. They allow you to avoid responsibility. They let you blame your circumstances instead of owning your failures. But deep down, you know the truth. Your excuses are the chains that keep you trapped. You say you don't have time, but you waste hours on distractions. You say you're too tired, but you stay up late doing nothing important. You say you'll start when you feel ready, but you know that day will never come. A warrior monk destroys excuses with action. He understands that there is never a perfect time to start, never an easy path to greatness, never a shortcut to mastery. There is only the work, and either you do it or you don't. The hardest truth. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to force you to become disciplined. No one is going to give you the life you want. It is on you, every single day, in every single moment. You can either keep lying to yourself, making the same excuses over and over, or you can face reality, take full responsibility, and finally take control of your life. The choice is yours. But remember this: excuses change nothing. Action changes everything. Chapter 12. How to think like a killer. Adopting a fearless mindset. A killer does not hesitate. He does not doubt. He does not wait for permission. When he sees an opening, he strikes. When he faces resistance, he adapts. When fear arises, he moves forward anyway. This is the mindset of a warrior monk. Fear controls most people. It makes them overthink, hesitate, and avoid risk. But a killer mindset is different. It is ruthless, precise, and fearless. It does not ask, "What if I fail?" It asks, "What must be done?" The difference between the weak and the strong is simple. The weak let fear stop them. The strong feel fear and act anyway. This is the mindset you must adopt. No hesitation, no doubt, no waiting. When the moment comes, you move. You commit fully. You strike without fear. Because a warrior monk does not hope for strength. He becomes it. Chapter 13. The final test. Do you deserve to be a warrior monk? This is where the path ends, or where it truly begins. By now, you know the principles. You understand discipline, focus, fearlessness, and mastery. But knowledge alone means nothing. What matters is what you do next. A warrior monk is not made by reading words. He is forged through action, through sacrifice, through relentless commitment to his path. Ask yourself honestly, have you truly let go of excuses? Have you embraced discomfort instead of running from it? Have you trained in the dark, prepared for battle before it arrives? Have you proven to yourself that you are unshakable, unstoppable, untouchable? Or are you still waiting, still hesitating, still hoping for an easier path? The truth is, no one can tell you if you deserve to be a warrior monk. Only you can prove it through your actions. This is your final test. The time for words is over. The time for action begins now. This is not just a book. This is a call to war, a war against your weakness, your fears, and your limitations. You now hold the keys to unshakable mental strength. But knowing is not enough. You must act. You must train. You must become. The warrior monk's path begins now. Are you ready?